The Power of Persuasion: How Groundbreaking Campaigns Shaped Social Movements Across Decades in an Era Defined by Rapid Technological Advancements and Global Interconnectedness. The role of influential campaigns in driving social change has never been more critical. From grassroots movements to international advocacy efforts, these campaigns have consistently demonstrated their power to mobilize communities, challenge oppressive systems, and redefine societal norms. Campaigns that resonate deeply often share common characteristics, relatable narratives, strategic use of media, and a clear call to action. These elements work together to create a ripple effect, transforming isolated concerns into widespread movements capable of reshaping policies and public opinion alike. Rise of digital activism: the new frontier of social change. Digital platforms have revolutionized how activists organize, communicate, and amplify their messages. Unlike traditional methods limited by geographical constraints, online campaigns can reach millions within seconds through hashtags, viral videos, and interactive webinars. Social media algorithms now play a pivotal role in determining which causes gain traction. This dynamic environment requires campaigners to adapt quickly while maintaining authenticity, a delicate balance between visibility and genuine engagement. Hashtag Black Lives Matter: originating from a single act of police brutality against Trayvon Martin, this movement leveraged digital tools to transform personal tragedy into a nationwide reckoning with systemic racism. Me Too movement: what began as a tweet from Tarana Burke evolved into a global conversation about sexual harassment and assault, demonstrating the power of digital storytelling to humanize complex issues. These examples highlight how modern campaigns blend emotional resonance with technical precision to drive meaningful change. As we explore further, we'll see how historical precedents continue to inform contemporary strategies in this ever-evolving landscape. The Civil Rights Era: blueprint for modern movements. The civil rights movement of the 1960s laid foundational principles that remain relevant today. Through organized marches, boycotts, and strategic nonviolent resistance, leaders such as Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. crafted a blueprint for effective protest that continues to inspire new generations of activists. This period saw the emergence of powerful symbols like the raised fist and the Black Panther Party's 10-point program, both of which emphasized unity and clarity in demands. These visual and ideological markers became touchstones for future movements seeking to articulate their visions clearly. The March on Washington in 1963 was not merely a political demonstration but also a masterclass in coalition building. By uniting diverse groups under a shared cause, organizers created a formidable force that could not be ignored by policymakers. From Selma to Montgomery, each campaign built upon previous successes while adapting tactics based on evolving circumstances. This iterative approach remains crucial in navigating today's complex socio-political terrain. Environmental advocacy: a global awakening. Climate change awareness has grown exponentially over recent decades, largely due to sustained environmental campaigns. Initiatives ranging from Earth Day celebrations to Greta Thunberg's Fridays for Future protests have brought planetary health into mainstream discourse. Greenpeace, founded in 1971, pioneered direct action tactics that included dramatic interventions at nuclear test sites and oil rigs. Their bold approach challenged governments and corporations to confront ecological realities they had long neglected. The Paris Agreement represents one of the most significant achievements in climate policy, made possible through years of relentless campaigning by organizations like the Climate Action Network and individual advocates worldwide. Taking inspiration from past successes, current environmentalists are leveraging technology to monitor deforestation rates, track carbon emissions, and engage younger audiences through immersive virtual experiences. Educational equity campaigns: breaking barriers one classroom at a time. The fight for educational equity dates back centuries yet remains fiercely relevant today. Campaigns targeting access to quality education have exposed deep-seated inequalities while pushing for systemic reforms across different regions. In India, the Right to Education Act of 2009 marked a turning point after years of persistent advocacy by NGOs focused on child labor eradication and girls' schooling initiatives. similar struggles unfolded globally, revealing consistent patterns in what drives successful educational reform. Modern-day campaigns leverage data analytics to identify underserved communities accurately. By combining demographic research with targeted outreach programs, educators and activists can tailor solutions effectively without wasting resources. Virtual learning environments opened during the pandemic provided unexpected opportunities to expand access. While challenges persisted, many found innovative ways to bridge gaps using mobile networks and low-bandwidth streaming technologies. LGBTQ+ rights milestones. From marginalization to mainstream acceptance, the LGBTQ+ rights movement has experienced remarkable progress since its early days of secrecy and persecution. Landmark campaigns have transformed public perception dramatically, leading to legal protections once thought impossible. Pride parades originated as defiant acts of self-expression in response to police crackdowns on gay bars during Stonewall riots. Today, these events celebrate diversity while serving as platforms for ongoing advocacy around healthcare access and anti-discrimination laws. Legal victories such as same-sex marriage legalization represent only part of the story. Equally vital were grassroots efforts supporting transgender youth, advocating for inclusive curricula in schools, and challenging discriminatory practices in employment sectors. While much ground has been covered, disparities persist regarding mental health support and workplace inclusivity. Ongoing campaigns strive to address these remaining challenges through intersectional approaches that consider overlapping identities affecting lived experiences. Healthcare access campaigns, fighting for universal care efforts toward universal healthcare coverage, gained momentum following crises like the HIV/AIDS epidemic and more recently the COVID-19 pandemic. Patient-led organizing played a crucial role in shaping legislation aimed at expanding medical accessibility. Historically marginalized communities disproportionately affected by inadequate care formed coalitions demanding equitable treatment options. These collective voices helped shift national conversations towards rethinking existing models of healthcare delivery. Advocates employed creative methods, from flash mobs outside hospitals to documentary films highlighting personal stories, to illustrate why universal care is essential rather than optional. Despite setbacks caused by political polarization, several countries successfully implemented progressive healthcare policies inspired by patient-centered campaigns emphasizing preventive care over reactive measures alone. Gender equality campaigns, challenging stereotypes and reclaiming space feminist movements have continually evolved alongside shifting cultural landscapes, addressing everything from wage gaps to reproductive rights. Effective campaigns combine empirical evidence with compelling narratives to influence both hearts and minds. The #TimesUp initiative exemplifies how celebrity endorsements can elevate serious discussions about gender-based violence when paired with concrete policy proposals. It united Hollywood figures behind tangible goals related to workplace safety and fair pay structures. Grassroots feminist collectives have proven equally impactful by focusing locally on dismantling patriarchal norms through community workshops and mentorship programs tailored specifically to women's needs. Intersectionality has become central to understanding how race, class, sexuality intersect with gender identity in shaping daily experiences. Campaigns increasingly acknowledge this complexity rather than treating feminism as a monolithic concept. Disability rights revolution, redefining inclusion. The disability rights movement has fought tirelessly against institutional barriers preventing full participation in society. Legal battles coupled with public demonstrations have gradually shifted perceptions about what constitutes normalcy versus ability. Deinstitutionalization efforts beginning in mid-century aimed to move individuals away from segregated facilities toward integrated living arrangements. This transition required extensive lobbying along with changing attitudes among service providers themselves. Today's campaigns emphasize accessibility beyond physical infrastructure. They advocate for inclusive design principles that benefit everyone regardless of ability level. Technology plays an increasing role here too, with AI voice assistants aiding those with mobility impairments being just one example. Successful disability inclusion strategies involve collaboration between disabled people themselves, allies who listen actively, and policymakers willing to prioritize real change over performative gestures. Anti-colonial struggles, reclaiming narratives and sovereignty throughout history. Anti-colonial movements have sought autonomy from imperial powers through various forms of resistance. Contemporary versions maintain this legacy while incorporating modern communication techniques suited to digital age challenges. Movements like BLM draw heavily from earlier struggles where colonized peoples resisted foreign domination via peaceful means whenever possible. However, they also recognize situations where armed struggle becomes necessary depending on local contexts. Decolonizing education systems emerged as key component within broader anti-colonial frameworks. Restoring indigenous knowledge traditions helps counteract centuries-worth damage done by imposed Western paradigms. Current campaigns stress importance of economic independence alongside political freedom, recognizing that true liberation involves control over land, natural resources, and trade agreements formerly dictated externally. Economic justice campaigns, addressing wealth disparities head-on. Wealth inequality remains one of society's most pressing issues despite numerous attempts at reform. Economic justice campaigns aim to expose structural imbalances while proposing viable alternatives rooted in fairness rather than privilege. Organizations like the Fight for $15 highlighted minimum wage stagnation through mass worker strikes coordinated nationally. Such actions forced employers, and eventually lawmakers, to take notice of growing discontent among lower-income populations. Modern campaigns utilize big data analysis to map out areas suffering highest levels of poverty concentration. Armed with this information, advocates push for localized solutions including job training centers and affordable housing projects designed precisely for those neighborhoods. By framing wealth redistribution as moral imperative instead purely economic calculation, these efforts seek deeper transformation than mere band-aid fixes would allow. Animal welfare movements, expanding compassion beyond human borders. Concerns about animal welfare extend far beyond pet ownership. They encompass industrial farming practices, wildlife conservation efforts, and ethical considerations surrounding scientific experimentation involving animals. Veganuary campaigns demonstrate how simple behavioral changes can lead profound shifts when adopted widely enough. They encourage participants temporarily embracing plant-based diets before deciding whether making permanent switch works better personally. Direct action tactics used by PETA include undercover investigations exposing cruel conditions inside factory farms, followed up with high-profile protests demanding stricter regulations governing livestock handling procedures. Celebrity endorsements help raise profile visibility, although critics argue sometimes overshadow actual substance behind cause itself. Nonetheless, increased exposure leads more people considering related topics seriously, even initially skeptical viewers. Migration and refugee support campaigns, Humanity in Motion. Global migration patterns reflect both voluntary choices and forced displacement driven by conflict, climate disasters, or economic hardship. Supporting refugees presents complex logistical challenges requiring multifaceted responses spanning humanitarian aid to long-term integration plans. Operation Warm Hands, initiated by UNHCR, provides immediate relief supplies directly where they're needed most, ensuring survivors receive essentials like blankets, clothing, food, etc. right away instead waiting weeks, months, longer periods. Creative fundraising mechanisms such as refugee art exhibitions showcase talents belonging displaced persons, simultaneously raising awareness about plight facing them everyday lives interrupted suddenly without warning. Local communities often serve as frontline responders, offering temporary shelter, language classes, vocational training, helping newcomers establish foothold until official processes complete fully. Conclusion: the evolution of influential campaigns reveals a rich tapestry woven from persistence, innovation, and unwavering belief in possibility. Each movement discussed showcases distinct strategies yet shares underlying commitment to creating better world. As we look ahead, continued investment in education, civic engagement, technological literacy will empower next-generation activists ready to tackle emerging challenges head-on. Together we can build brighter tomorrow, grounded solid foundation laid down through courageous stand taken throughout history.